Hello, welcome to Taxpayer Alert. I'm Al Segalla, I'll be your moderator, and this is part of a long series of programs to provide the voters and the taxpayers a little look at what's happening in the community and what's happening in government. Well, this is no exception. This evening we have an exciting guest. His name is Richard Varrasso, and he's the event coordinator at the town square. It's also known as Copperopolis Valley Town Square. Richard, tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll start with some questions.
Well, so Copperopolis has had this town square in it, and it's gone through some branding, and so it's called the Square at Copper Valley, along with the golf course and the other things at Copper Valley. And basically it's right there in Copperopolis. And so now I'm doing the events and helping with the exciting outdoor pursuits that they have. And so we started, and I told you this back a while ago, we started a nonprofit situation, and we got all licensing and all that, so we're all good to go. And the name of the nonprofit is called Creative Copperopolis. And it's basically a community thing for all of us that live there to support and enjoy the events and the situations that happen there at Town Square.
How'd you get started in this sort of thing?
Well, I come from the entertainment industry and ended up coming from the Bay Area to live in Copperopolis. I've been coming to Lake Tulloch for a long time, but now that I live here, I've gotten involved with a lot of things going on. I've followed you in your tax alert, and I think that being involved in community is really good. So when they were doing events, I went to help them, and then I decided that a nonprofit where the community can come and join us would be good to build. So I built that, and I've gotten about a dozen or so volunteers from the area. We've got events coming up, and we have to do it the right way, but we're inching into getting people back together again in the new way, I guess you might call it.
Well, that's very good, Richard. Tell us a little bit about the Copper Valley Town Square, the events and the shops and the things that are going on there. Some people may not be familiar with it.
Well, you know, the shops are reopening slowly but surely. We got the cafe and Griff's and the pizza, and the restaurants opened. The poor gals that have the spas and the massage parlors are maybe just now being able to start. And you know that we've had big concerts there in the past, and so we're kind of just gearing up to hopefully being able to have big concerts, but we're having like little musical meetings and jams in the gazebo and movie nights where people can spread apart and whatnot. It seems that movie nights are getting popular again. And so anyway, we have events planned, and hopefully going forward with the proper authorization, we might have some big events at the end of the year.
Oh, that's pretty good. It's kind of exciting because we have, I think, 3 different things in our county that are developments besides nature and the state parks and the federal parks. One is Couch Winery, and which has been very, very good for our county. And the next is the renovation of Murphy's, the little town of Murphy's. I think the architect that did a good part of that is also the architect that did the town square. And then we had the town square. And so it looks like our future is bright and our economy will thrive because of the work that these wonderful people have done.
Hopefully this thing goes away, and there's news reports of it coming, going down, going up and whatnot. But I do think that things are going to change, and instead of people jumping in a plane to go to Cabo or Hawaii, they may consider getting in their car and coming to our area or Napa, Old Town Sac, whatever. There's a lot to offer here in California, so you don't have to go anywhere. So we're hoping for that. But meanwhile, to get it started, I've kind of kept the movie nights and everything on the down low and just invited people from Copperopolis. So we start slow and maybe, build up to when we can have people from out of town. So it's a really delicate subject, and I have to keep in touch with a lot of different people that have a lot of different opinions on what to do. So we're being community minded and health oriented. So we're having an event on July 4th. And one thing is a bike parade. So we're going to have to limit how many entries for the bike parade and keep distancing there. And we're going to have a kids music play in the park. So we'll have an area where they could dance, but of course there'll need to be a lot of space. One good thing about Coppertown, the square there, is that it's about an acre. So if you do all the mathematics, there's plenty of social distancing room in that area if we cut the streets off, which we usually do. So July 4th, we have several things going on. The fire department can't do the fireworks show this year. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
They usually have a fireworks show, and they can't do it because of their mandates. So we're going to do it at the Coppertown Square.
Oh, great.
And we can't use the fire department because, again, of their rules. So I got the U.S. Army to come and light off the fireworks.
Oh, that's great.
The recruiters out of Sonora. So there's a lot of community help there. We'll have the fireworks show after 8:30, but from 4 to 8, we're going to have like a bike parade and the kids dance and an ice cream social, and we'll have Copper the dog there and Jasper our bull and different things like that. So we're trying to do things with everything in mind, with the COVID thing and the face masks and all that stuff. So one thing that we're doing, me and you, is from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock on July 4th, we're going to have a Constitution reading. And you gave me this little book, and it's been fascinating. And a lot of the people that come to my office pick it up. A lot of people really haven't dug into the Constitution. So we put together a little program, and I'm going to be videotaping it. Hopefully we could show it here on this station and put a casting call out for kids. And we're going to have kids and come and have a book. And it's all about the Independence Day, our Constitution, and what does it actually mean to us?
One of the things that is kind of exciting to me is how important property rights are. When I was 12 years old, I had a 10-speed bike given by my parents as a Christmas present. They saved 2 years to get that amount of money because it was an expensive bike. I got a chance to ride it to a park that was about 5 miles away from my home in New York. And I put a lock on it, and then I went around the park, and then I came back to where my bike was, and it was gone. All the way home, there's a 12-year-old kid that was crying. 5 miles walking about that bike, and it became so important that property rights are one of the most important things that we have. And so at one time they taught civics in the schools, and this civics is about government and about the law and about society. And if you were to put the whole civics idea in philosophy into 2 principles, it would be honor your agreements and respect the rights of others. When we talk about respecting the rights of others, the question is, what are they? Now, the Constitution has solved that problem In the 5th and 14th Amendment of the Constitution, we have them spelled out very clearly. Life, liberty, and property. Yeah. And so, once this is learned, it's not likely to be forgotten. And we're likely to carry forward in the future our free society. So our kids and their kids and their kids can live in prosperity and freedom. If we don't do that, we could lose it.
Well, and the person who took your bike, and that's a very sad story, he disrespected you. And respect is something that I think that we really need more of, because I see on social media how you could say something and you get dished out a lot of disrespect, a lot of hate. We need to work together as a community, which is really on my list. You know, the community banding together in order to know each other and respect each other's. You know, a lot of people can have a different opinion than you and I have, but it still doesn't mean that we can't have a nice celebration and respect each other, and not take the bikes and the bike parade. You know, that's not fair. So it brings me to the fact that I'm also at the town square with the gazebo and the bands. I'm starting a band called the 4x49 Community Jam Band. And what that is of course 4x49 is our highways there. And it's all the musicians around that have bands or that don't have bands or that are kids or maybe afraid to go out and play. You know, I'm trying to get everyone together, and I'm trying to get over 100 people to play one song at one time, and we're going to videotape it and make it go viral.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So we're going to have sessions to bring musicians together and band in community. Being a musician and in the business for a long time, there's musicians always come together when there's something going on, you know, with Farm Aid or whatever, you've heard of them. And so this is the community thing. And you know, little kids could drum, professional musicians, guys that just want to hold a guitar. It's all about having fun and playing. So that's banding the community together, which is what Creative Copperopolis, the nonprofit, is here to do. And Copper Valley developers have given me the license to do that at the town square.
Do you play?
Yeah, my band played last Saturday.
What do you play?
I play guitar, usually a 12-string, and I sing, or I used to be able to sing, but you know, no one complained last Saturday, so that's good. The chamber was there. We actually opened up our ice cream store last Saturday. Copper's, the town square dog, has an ice cream store now. And Morgan and Cheryl from the chamber were there, and they're great supporters of ours, and they saw me and everything play, and hopefully, you know, no one's complaining about that.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I got my band together basically to be a foundation band for this 4x49 thing. So I have a band, and then people could come and play with my band. They could bring their band and play. It's a pretty fluid situation. And we have all the equipment on the gazebo to do that. And we also have some pretty big shows coming up. I have the biggest Led Zeppelin tribute band called Led Zeppelica out of Hollywood. And everyone's favorite around Copper is The Journey Revisited. And I think that band's going to probably open up the hotel when it finally opens in October.
How many rooms would the hotel have?
The hotel's going to have 29 rooms, and then they have a dozen or so bungalows at the golf course.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, so they're gearing up their accommodation package to be able to handle those hotel rooms and whatnot. And a lot of my shows are going to help book those rooms up. And then we were going to have a big TV show out of London. I don't know if you heard about that.
No.
Through the Scuttle. But because of this whole incident, all that kind of stuff just kind of filtered away. So we're really hoping that 2021 is going to be the golden year, since 2020 was taken away from us. I mean, it's already halfway through the year. So we're doing our best, right?
Yeah. The virus is no worse than the SARS virus, which we had before. It's not good to die from a virus, but we have to sometimes put things in perspective. You don't destroy society because there's a virus.
This is the first time in my whole life that I've seen the chain jiggled this much. And it's a double-edged sword. We need to pay attention, but then also we don't want our liberties taken away if they don't need to be, especially without due process. I think due process is a very important part of changing the rules, and you can't just have one guy change a rule.
Well, you've read the Constitution.
Well, you gave me the little book, and, you know, how can I go wrong?
The governor cannot declare a dictatorship. He cannot. The Constitution doesn't allow it. That doesn't mean he could do it. He could do it. There's been times in our past where government officials have violated the Constitution, but usually it was popular, and so they got away with it. And there's nothing in the Constitution where you have to write on the board 100 times, I must follow the Constitution. There's no penalty. So all we can do is make sure that they honor their oath and elect people that will honor their oath.
And understand the guidelines.
Yeah. And that's true, and especially kids. If kids can learn civics and about the Constitution, it'd be so good for our future and for our society. We have,
I've gotten great comments on Nextdoor when I listed this morning that we were going to do this on July 4th. A lot of people said, man, this is a great idea. I love it, I'm coming, and all this kind of stuff. And then I got one comment that someone said, no one ever reads that. Well, that's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
Because
it's truthful. The schools have not been really teaching the Constitution about 50 years. Even when I was in school back in, I guess, 1950, in the 50, 58, and 60s, we got a booklet called Scholastic Magazine. And you probably got that too. And it taught us about the UN, but almost nothing about the Constitution.
But I think the UN sponsored that magazine.
I think so too.
Which is why it was pushed.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have money for anyone promoting this from the government.
Right.
And I just think that having the discussion with these kids about this is going to open up a lot of doors for them to think about what is the guidelines of government.
Yeah.
And because they're you know, when I was young, the big shocker was Kennedy. That was the shocker. And then it went into the Nixon thing and on and on and on. When they're young, when our kids are young now, the shocker was this 2020 where they shut the country down. And they're going to remember that. And they're going to need to be part of the politics behind that.
Well, I think you're right, Richard. And what you know is a wonderful thing at the 4th of July. Oh, by the way, the Boy Scouts been invited?
No, but I would love them, you know.
Yeah.
Any community group that would be interested in this, I mean, this is all about community and love. Let's bring them all together. So
maybe they can do a flag ceremony or something.
I did tell the library about it, and she really thought it was a great idea.
She's got a lot of energy.
Yeah. Anything about reading she loves, but this is, you know, good stuff.
Yeah. They have it in the library. At least I gave them some copies. Well, this is all a good thing, Richard. What do you see for the future, looking ahead, and for the Copperopolis area?
Well, we have a new supervisor coming in, Amanda, and I've been inviting her to every single thing that we do with open arms. So I'm hoping that politically that we're recognized upstairs in the the civic and county government. And meanwhile, the developers are developing this with the community in mind. So there's going to be new homes and new people coming in, and we need to all co-jingle together. So I'm involved with the events. I know on my part, the events that I'm designing are all family, community-oriented, fairly middle of the road. The music will stop at 10, not be, that kind of stuff. So we're gonna try to make it a fun area for people to migrate from the Bay Area, because I really think people are going to be jumping out of the Bay Area here.
How are you advertising?
Right now, this month, I'm keeping things on the down low, maybe on Copperville on Facebook or next door, so only, you know, because I know that a lot of us watch that. So for movie nights, that would be for the locals. Eventually, I've got lots of radio time on the Hawk and Cumulus Radio, and we're involved with mymotherload.com, and I talk to Calaveras Enterprise, and we have publicity to go out and social media. So there's a lot of levels of marketing and advertising. But again, everyone's confused. So we're only igniting certain fuses, and you know, maybe holding back on some of the ones that we would do if there wasn't. Because we don't. One thing Copper Valley doesn't want me to do is have big shows with thousands of people right now. It's just not right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe, you know, a few dozen people, and everyone has a good time, and it's for us, and maybe pretty soon Modesto and Lodi could come up, or, you know, we'll have to layer the advertising.
Now, if people want to get more information, they could email you?
Yeah, I welcome all email, and the email is simply my name, richard@varrasso.com.
And Varrasso is spelled V-A-R-R-A-S-S-O.
Right.
All right, got that right. So richard@varrasso.com. All right.
And it's always a pleasure. I know you watch out for our benefit. I know that you dig into some of these things to bring the facts out. That's all good stuff.
Yeah, sunshine.
Yeah.
10 years, our Taxpayer Association has been attending the Board of Supervisors meetings, and we have never attacked a person, but we have questioned some ideas.
Well, and all ideas should be questioned, because then you can hone them in and make them better.
Well, that's the reason for sunshine. And we have some really good people who work for government. We're really blessed in Calaveras County. So it's been a pleasure. I haven't been able to attend meetings because they've gone to Zoom. And my computer is allergic to it, apparently. I was kicked out 4 times, so I figure it won't be long before we can attend in person again.
Now, they haven't done that on purpose to you, have
No,
they?
I don't know.
It's kind of like
Maybe.
Hollywood Squares, you know, where you're all...
Most of the supervisors do like me because I don't attack them. And sometimes, even though they may not agree with me, they're glad to hear my opinion anyway.
But it's not about attacking. It's about identifying facts and bringing them to light.
Yeah, and raise some questions and suggestions.
Sure.
And so one of the things that is happening in our county government, I've been noticing, we're getting increasingly dependent upon state and federal money. And these are usually on emergencies, fire, trees, a virus. And the biggest fear or motivator among the supervisors we discovered was the fear of not being able to get the money. And so it's very important to do what the state and federal regulators or politicians want. And providing it's fairly reasonable, that's the way the county goes. So our focus of control, rather than the voter and the Board of Supervisors, is kind of shifted to the state and to the federal government. There was an item. Former chairman of the Board of Supervisors was in a meeting concerning the fire damage, and the federal government representative in that meeting suggested that the government take the land from the people that they lost their trees or lost their homes. Now the government could take their land. And he put a lot of resistance to that, and it never got into the paper. But he did share that with me. So this is why we have to think about encouraging our supervisors to try to be representative to their voters, to the people who elected them, protect their rights to life, liberty, and property. If they can stick with that to a certain extent, we're going to be pretty safe. And then we can harmonize with the federal government and the state government, and but we won't have danger shifting of control of our government.
Well, good county economic development would suit us also, because if we got our tourist business back and kept developing our wine and all these different things, and then the government would generate money off of them and be less dependent on the grants and things that we get from the government upstairs.
Property taxes, you'll get more property taxes, and economic development is, we have a nice lady that's in charge of economic development.
Yeah, Kathy.
Yeah, Kathy, and she was on the program before,
Okay.
and she did very well. And one of the things that's important to remember, freedom brings prosperity, not the other way around. So by preserving, keeping government small, keep regulations reasonable or even non-existent, people can flourish. They can build this, and they can work on a town square. They don't have to worry about being snowed under with regulations, which could stifle it. And by stifling the productivity, they also stifle prosperity, and they really hurt people, and sometimes not knowing what they're doing.
Well, and when you generate money, money goes to all these different places, including government.
That's true.
When we're not buying anything, sales tax goes down.
That's true.
And, except we haven't been on the road, so fuel taxes are down.
Yeah.
They were giving oil away a month ago. The prices went down so low. And so it's hard to shut everyone in their house for 3 months or so. It's really hard.
Yeah, and the logic behind that is starting to slip a little bit. Now, it is important to protect people that are susceptible to this. These are older people and people that have conditions like cancer and heart problems, diabetes. And one of the ways that could be done, and I'm surprised it isn't done already, these are medicated masks that kill viruses. And they're inexpensive. I bought one myself, and they're not disposable. You don't have to throw them away because they kill viruses. And I think at some point, some doctor in our county is going to say, that makes sense, and start working to get these masks to our retirement communities, the facilities for long-term care.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're able to protect our vulnerable people, then the big danger of this SARS virus would disappear. Kids can get it, and it doesn't even bother them.
Right. For our events, I've looked into this huge evaporative cooler.
Yeah.
That's like big, and you could put. We're gonna put some organic disinfectant in it, so it very thin mist, but it shoots it out. So hopefully that might be a mitigating factor in some of that.
That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And we're about at the end of our program now, and so we've come up with a few ideas, and we have the 4th of July celebration coming up
4th of July.
At the town square, and we look like we're going to have a lot of happy days ahead. I want to thank you for watching Taxpayer Alert, and we look forward to seeing you next time.